This to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in. What a comeback.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. Today we're going to talk about that wonderful, glorious beatdown of the hated Cowboys.
That's right. Before we get into that, though, do we want to say hello to our viewers for the first time?
I think we've said this twice already. I don't know if I want to say hello again until I know it's going to happen.
Literally the first video episode we're releasing.
Publishing.
There we go, releasing. There it is. All right, cool.
After a few kinks, a year plus in the making, here we are. In front of you, live and in color. So welcome to our 28-3 podcast studio. We are fieldside in the seats of Max, a.k.a. Darth Saint, where he watches every game from the dome. Take a little look around. You can see above us we got the jump logo. Then we got the Jumbotron. They're showing Darth Saint on the Jumbotron. He's going to be there pretty much every episode. Then we got the all-important scoreboard right here. And if you're watching this and you want to sponsor us, we can put you right here.
You can go where Oshner is.
You can replace Oshner. You're not a sponsor, Oshner, but you just happen to be on the Jumbotron from the photo I took from Max's seat.
There we go.
So now that you've had your tour and you can see us, let's talk about that fucking beatdown.
Beautiful.
Oh, man. You said it. Okay, so last recap, you said that the Panthers game was the most fun you can remember having in the Dome since like the height of the Breeze era. I don't know if you're specifically saying like 2011 or what year. Most fun you've had in the post-Breeze era.
Right.
So I would say that watching that game on TV is the most fun I've had watching a road game in the post-Breeze era. I mean,
yeah,
it was
absolutely.
Just like everything was going right.
Is it the best team we've beaten in the post-Breeze era? It probably is, right?
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Green Bay.
definitely.
Green Bay with Jameis.
We had that
Slaughtered them.
We had the random win against the Eagles in Philly with DA 2 years ago.
True.
And
but
they were
weren't they
heavily
sitting people? But
I don't think they were sitting people. They not yet anyway. They were in
something was
Well,
going on.
wait, we caught Minshew.
Right. We didn't get Hurts.
Yeah,
got
we
Is
didn't
that the
get
one
Hurts.
we didn't have Hurts?
Yeah.
They didn't
Because
have
when
Hurts,
we
yeah.
did play
Yeah.
Hurts, he killed us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe I
That
mean,
or Rodgers and the Packers in week 1 or 2.
oh the game Max went to Jacksonville.
in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
The Jameis
what was
Bomb
that?
show.
The Hurricane Ida.
Yeah.
Was it
No,
four-
that one was awesome.
4 or 5 touchdowns.
That fantastic.
I still think this was better.
home
'cause,
game.
I don't know. This one was pretty remarkable. 5 straight touchdowns was pretty insane.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. This game reminded me, and you'll remember this, 2006 season when we were living together out in River Ridge, and the Cowboys game then. The Mike Carney game where we had the 3 touchdowns, and it was still, I guess the parallels that I'm going to draw here is that it was still kind of unexpected because we didn't know how good we were. You know what I mean? Like we had started off 3-0 that year. We'd beaten a couple of down teams. And then we went to Dallas. It was that first primetime game. Peyton going against his mentor, all that stuff, all the storylines. And Mike Carney has 3 touchdowns. Bush had that long screen
But you would also
pass.
say Dallas that year not as good as Dallas the last few years. Correct?
I don't know, man. That was they were playoffs the year before.
Was that the
Wasn't it Romo mishandling the snap?
Yeah, they were like a wild card. They were okay.
Still though, I mean, they were a playoff team, and we weren't expecting, I guess, to be as good as we were that year. So I got the same vibes watching the game yesterday that I did in 2006 watching that game. It just was unexpected fun
And just a complete domination. Like
total domination.
Because I feel like in 06 too, you're watching the game not with like 100% bated breath, but you're just thinking, all right, we got a good lead. Let's just not take the foot off the gas. Let's keep playing on defense. You know, they still got great receivers, or a great receiver. They can annoyingly run the ball. Like when Zeke was getting that one tiny stretch before they had to kind of abandon it, when he was getting like 5 and 6 yards a carry, I'm like, this is old as shit. Zeke Elliott, come on, stop him.
Yeah.
But
he never really got going either.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like there was no letdown.
Right.
Right when you were, I wasn't being pessimistic watching it. I was just hoping that what I was seeing from my own eyes was real.
I think Dak gave us a little trouble. I mean, they were moving the ball.
They were moving the ball.
They were
Yeah.
scoring every drive too. They just weren't finishing the drives, right?
Right.
They were finishing with field goals instead of touchdowns.
We got a big
so.
sack. They had a big penalty on one of the drives.
Yep.
But they were going up and down the field, and then the defense settled down too.
Yeah.
Stopped a few drives, and then we just took control of the game.
You texted to our group? You were like, "We're really good. Our defense has been excellent once they get to the red zone."
Right. That's what it felt like.
It was like between the 20s, not bad. Both interceptions.
Look, it was bend but don't break.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Which is
And then they got the
which was
turnovers.
every game in the Super Bowl season. If that's and this defense is definitely better overall. I think that defense was more opportunistic.
Yeah. See, I would like to see more.
Thank you, Nick, for
more interceptions,
the $5 word there.
more sacks, more just you know what I mean, like big plays.
Yeah.
'Cause remember how many interceptions? That was the Darren Sharper going bananas with the 9
We had
interceptions.
39 turnovers, I think, that year.
Sharper had like 300 yards
Idiotic.
in return yards.
9 picks.
Yeah. So we're not quite that opportunistic defense yet.
Right.
We were getting pressure like crazy in those.
But
in
that's
09.
multiple turnovers both games, right?
Is it? Yeah. Now the turnover this week, that
Yep.
first interception, that receiver fell down.
Yeah.
Like that was a catch. That was a first down.
Yeah. I'm thankful, though, that we live in a day and age of Saints football where our cornerbacks actually catch the ball.
Look, it's the deepest position on the team.
you know what I mean? Like, we've lived through plenty of Saints years where you see a cornerback wide open, and you're like, oh, it's an interception. Here comes the ball, and then he just drops it. So, thankfully, Adebo's skilled. We'll get into
Even their big
his
plays
performance later, but
we were there to make the play. We just didn't a couple times.
Like,
yeah.
The Debo play with Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Adebo undercut the route, and Matthew's supposed to stay on top, and he overran it.
Yeah, when that happened, I texted that's terrible tackling by Debo, and I had watched it once. I was watching poolside with the little brother and the kids, but then
Humble
you were
brag.
like, yeah, it was nice. It was nice, but then you were like, no, that one's on Honey Badger, and watch it again. That was correct. I think that was correct.
Yeah, that's how I view it. I think he's got to make sure that needs to be him tackling, and Adebo, clearly was trying to undercut the route, and it was a perfect throw. Great throw. Then the other deep one where Adebo had his arm between the receiver's two arms, and he still came down with it on the bit. I'm forgetting the name of the player. It wasn't CD. It was
I can't remember.
Tolbert
yeah,
on that long catch. And perfect coverage. He's right there. He didn't interfere. Got his arm between the hands, and the guy brought it down. You give him credit, but so even the big plays we gave up were contested, and they just battled all game, and they got better as the game went on. Special teams good again. Overall, everything no issues there except Taysom on the opening kickoff, I think.
and there was a missed extra point.
Oh, that's true. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
there was.
Late in the
That's
game.
right.
Last touchdown.
Remember it, but I couldn't tell. It looked like it was blocked. I didn't see like the
No, I think he
super
just
slow
pulled it
replay.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it was that much of a pull because it looked like, or it was one of those deals where the
He can
rush
do
came
that?
in. The rush came in a lot, and so it affected his follow through or whatever.
I'm okay with that once we have 40 points. He can miss extra points. That's
Exactly.
fine.
Well, here's a question for both of y'all. I'll start it with Corey. Everything is sunshine and rainbows right now with the offense.
Of course.
Do you have any concerns? Is there anything that jumps out to you? And the reason I'm asking this is I have one concern I'll bring up after I get both of your opinions on this.
Okay. Well,
But any concerns with the offense at all right now?
it's gone from what's my opinion to what am I gonna? How can I guess what you're thinking?
Well, no. I'm just
kidding.
wondering if I'm the only one who's seeing this. But we'll
You might be. Yeah, I know last week I said that, we were saying it's hard to take issue with anything the offense was doing. And I said, well, we did kick 4 field goals, which means we had 4 drives that, stalled out in field goal range was kind of my take on it. Honestly, I can't find much fault in the offense overall. The run blocking looked great again. From all 5. The receivers were running routes as they were supposed to run their routes in sync, in tandem. I think the only issue was maybe Carr's accuracy in the second half. Or
I'm not
third
saying
quarter.
specifically an issue, but any concern with how things are going.
The only concern is that everybody stays healthy.
Yeah.
That's
That's one. I was going to say I have 2. That's
because
one.
I think
for
our
sure.
game planning, the play calling will absolutely change. Like the play calling is as good as it can possibly be right now. Like,
Yes, yeah.
We are full slated, full throated. Whatever Kubiak wants to do, he can dial it up. That's the offense we're living in right now. And just knock on wood, pray to God that like we can keep this going as long as possible.
If you lose one of those top
this
two
year.
receivers, it's a problem, I think.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
There is no third receiver right now.
That's okay. That's exactly the point I was getting to.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and finish it. You take it now.
No, I mean, he's done a lot. You've seen Foster get some run. You've seen Juwan. But there is no third guy in the receiving room.
It is a two-man game at wide receiver right now. And if something happens to one of those guys, who is going to step up? Because we have not, I don't think.
We haven't seen Wilson. We haven't seen
Does
Bub
anyone
Means.
else have a catch? I think Bub Means has a catch.
Didn't Tipton have one?
Tipton
Last week.
Last week, not this week.
Cedric Wilson might have one.
I don't even know if
A.T.
he's got
Perry's
one.
been a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
But that is my point. Like, I am terrified. What if something happens to Shaheed or Olave at this point? Because it is literally a two-man game at the wide receiver position.
I think,
And both of them have missed
And they're
games the
killing
last
it right
few
now.
years.
based
They're killing
on
it.
the
Like-
play calling we've seen, I think Tipton has to be your fill-in for Shaheed.
Yeah.
Because
I could see that working.
I could see memes coming in for Olave.
I don't.
But
see
I mean,
that.
but who's the comp?
Because
Maybe
Olave,
Cedric,
you get
but-
the crisp, precise routes. He runs beautiful routes. Shaheed is taking the top off.
Right.
Now Tipton does have insane speed.
Take the top
Right.
off.
I don't know if he has
Maybe-
Shaheed speed, but he's got speed.
Maybe if Shaheed goes out, you just lose that because Tipton might be your because he was running. Part of the reason he had so much success in the preseason and training camp.
Well, he didn't play in the preseason.
You know what couldn't be better for an offense?
That's right, but in training camp,
Shaheed getting deep in both games. So
it's perfect. It
everyone
loosened up
has to
everything.
back off.
Yeah.
Everyone has to back off
You have to
a little
respect
bit.
it now.
So going back to the two wide receiver thing, I think I saw it pop up. Maybe it was in the Saint City and Me Discord, or someone said it on Twitter. But it was like, how many formations did we actually even put a third receiver in?
Not much.
Not much, no.
Because
They're not,
the way
yeah.
we're running this, like 12 personnel, 21, whatever you want to call it, I'm not like the football guru with formation terminology sometimes, but we've had two tight ends with Taysom and Juwan in so much, or Taysom and Foster and Juwan.
By the way, that Foster
We
play
haven't had to-
that was ineligible downfield was
That was
the
a
craziest
chicken
play.
shit call, though.
It was
I
weak,
mean-
and if you
Well,
four
actually,
of
wait.
them,
when Foster was downfield,
no.
The one that
Foster's
got called
touchdown.
black.
They went a little bit. I think they're allowed to go a yard before the throw, and they were
It's a
definitely
yard.
past.
They were past a yard.
A yard, but it was so obvious they weren't running downfield
Right,
to block.
right.
You know,
They
And I
weren't
guess
touching anyone.
It's a ticky tack call.
They were all like in sync, turning to look at Carr. It's like
That's
Yeah.
my. I mean,
they stopped
again,
even worrying about the defenders.
I don't want to
you know.
get into the officiating, but that is not called 90% of the time on a play like that. Now,
Yeah.
if it impacts the play where they're engaging someone that prevents
Yeah,
maybe
call it.
Yeah, you can understand it at that point.
You just don't see that called that ticky tack very often. It was because they couldn't believe something must have happened
Right,
because he
right.
was so open.
But it ended up working out better because that drive turned into, 3 or 4 more minutes?
Yeah, it did.
And
And we
ended up-
scored. We
yeah,
scored
we
anyway.
scored, so.
AK got another touchdown. But
That was the Carr touchdown, I think. The Carr sneak.
it was a sneak. It was
I
a
wish
sneak,
it was
yeah.
AK. We would have had a 5-touchdown game.
I thought they were going to give it to him too there to get to bring back the 6-touchdown game. Because we had a chance at the end. If he had the 5, he could have got it again.
Oh, man.
Where we kicked the field goal, we were down inside the 5. We gave it to him, but he didn't score.
That game still pisses me off, the Christmas Day game.
Because he should have had 7.
He should have had 7, and Peyton shoehorned that Taysom touchdown in.
And then he realized. I don't know if he
I
realized,
don't know if
but
he realized
because
it, yeah.
AK's last touchdown came after the Taysom
Yeah.
touchdown, and when he was clearly on track to be the first 7-touchdown game, maybe.
Yeah.
But either way, whatever. It's still a record, and it's incredible.
But I'm glad you brought up the 2 receivers thing because that's exactly where I was headed with that point, and that scares me.
The only other thing that I'll say is, I do think not breaking some of these incredibly blocked runs longer.
That's my other one. Yeah.
I think we're going to need some of that at some point in the season. They are blocking this so well.
Perfectly.
And AK's doing a great job. He just, when he hits that second level, he's not getting away. And I
Dude.
think it's just, but
I would pick you in a race right now over him.
he's,
And that's no slight against you.
Here's
but
the thing.
he's
I
lost
was-
no agility, no
The agility
shiftiness.
is there.
It's
the
all
agility
there.
is all there.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about this because you mentioned that,
He stumbled,
during the
and he
game.
looked like he was going to fall down.
Well, he didn't, for one. And
This is not a knock on him.
It's not a knock.
This
It's
is just
just
needing another dimension to that run game
saying
that I don't
Kendra
think we
can
have.
bring. Kendra can bring it if his head
I mean,
is
even
right.
if you're knocking him, it's fine. Like, he's old, he's slower. If it's a knock, it's
Well,
a knock.
we're not
I'm
knocking him, though. He's got, 5 touchdowns in 2 games?
Well, that's what I'm saying is, AK said it in his press conference that he didn't, on the screenplay, he said, I didn't even have to run full speed. They had it blocked so well. I don't take AK to be some guy who was running his hardest and then goes in the press conference and was like, oh, yeah, I'll look slow because I
I
wasn't.
don't believe he was running full
I
speed.
think-
That's fine.
I think
I'm talking
AK
about, I'm not
has-
even talking about that play. I'm talking about the
In general, he's
actual
talking
run.
about,
You
yeah.
even made a comment about
No, yeah, I know. I agree that if Kendre is running the same, hitting, if he has the same holes as some of the same holes
Kendra's
that
popping
Kamara
long
had,
touchdowns if he's running.
getting,
Yeah.
Kendre's going to get to the hole faster.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so,
it's that cut though. That after you get through that,
right. So the thing is,
He's a one-cut-and-go guy.
yeah, different.
Kamara can maneuver it.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Kamara's
Kamara's got that Le'Veon Bell to his game. Remember how Le'Veon Bell would like
that's
dance?
that's an insult to Kamara because Le'Veon Bell was terrible behind the line with dancing. I mean, when it opened
No,
up,
when he was cooking, you would watch him weave his way through the traffic. He was a great running back for the couple of years he was.
for 5 years.
yeah, I mean, he had the one.
It's
year,
not an insult to Kamara.
I think it is, but we agree to disagree.
He was that was an all-pro running back.
It's an all-pro running back, bro.
For a year, but
a couple.
I
Yeah.
think that AK.
I bet you it's 2. Look it up.
So my point is, AK has turned into, and it's a good thing, into a much more cerebral running back, where he is like a quarterback in mentality, mental capacity, playing the position of running back. So he could probably he strikes me, and I have no way of actually knowing this. What are you watching
Check how
now?
many all-pros he has.
Yeah. I have no way of actually knowing this, but I would imagine that he could probably tell you what everybody on the offense
But he's always been that
assigned to
too,
do.
right? Yeah, 2-time all-pro.
So
First team.
Yeah.
he will, when he gets the ball, he will have a potentially better understanding than Kendre of
No doubt about
what
that.
are my options here. So
Yes.
No one's disputing that.
So the point is, we might be saying if Kendre had that hole, he would house it. But there's actually still no guarantee that Kendre would make the same choice as Kamara.
Not down to down. No way.
But
Yeah.
the reason I'm okay with, look, after what we did yesterday, you can't complain if you're doing that every game. First off.
no, of course.
But
but we're not going to do that every
We're
game.
not
That's
going
what
to
I'm
do it every
saying.
game.
I think you're gonna
So
need
my
it.
bigger
You're gonna
concern
need-
is less that. I mean, yes, having Kendre in there, and if the idea of him being in there is that he can house it with a greater frequency or any frequency more than Kamara can, has a better chance to house it. To me, that idea is a luxury. I would love it for one, but the bigger reason I want Kendre back is so he can spell AK, and then you get the benefit of while he's in there.
Well,
you get
AK
the added
needs to make
benefit.
it through a whole season,
Well, that's
which he
what I'm
hasn't
saying.
done in a while.
Because Jamal
The other thing I want to
didn't come in
mention,
enough to spell AK.
did you see Clint leave AK blocking Micah Parsons multiple times by himself?
AK
Taking that
blew up Parsons, but the
Yeah.
deep shot to Shaheed.
That's what we know Kendre's not going to bring. We know
Yeah.
we know other running backs. So I'm not saying take anything from
We're not taking
Jamar.
anything away from Kamara.
We need to get
Yeah.
him to the end of the season, like
Yeah.
you said, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's probably too many touches for him if we want him to make
I think
it to
it
the end of the
is.
season.
He can't do 16 more games like yesterday.
That. No,
he can't.
He can't. And
I
he
mean-
dominated that game. I think there's no dispute. He looked like his old self. The
Yeah.
speed's gone, but you saw getting him in space. He did drop one screen that was wide open again. Clint's dialing it up for AK. You can see he's got
Yeah.
it.
No, he's calling the plays at the right time, which I think was kind of a lost art with Carmichael, among many things. But we're not used to seeing an offensive coordinator, which the really good ones do, call plays to set up plays down the road or down the line. Like so,
And that's
he's-
what I was getting
we
at
haven't
with the
seen it
Foster
since
play.
Peyton.
He's calling plays to set up like the
That Foster play was
set up.
set up.
And that's been amazing.
But look,
to see.
again, we're not taking anything away from
No,
AK. It
yeah.
just goes back to the point I've made all offseason and honestly all the year before and the offseason
You
before.
love your juice.
We need a running back with juice. We still don't have that. Jamal Williams is a what do they call it in horse racing? A mudder.
Yeah, he's
AK he's
He ran
great.
decent too, actually. in the-
No,
when
yeah,
he
but
got-
I mean, when you have the holes, you're gonna look good.
Yeah.
Jordan Mims isn't going to see the field, so
No.
Kendre's the only hope for anyone with juice. Taysom's got more juice than the other ones.
Yep.
If he hits it,
Well, the one adjustment I noticed is we ran outside way less with Kamara, and we put Shaheed in the backfield, right? We put him straight in the backfield.
Straight up running play. I think that too was a
love that.
Yeah.
It was a mix of like let's get some positive yardage because we know he's going to have to get positive yardage with the way we're blocking and his speed.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a run for loss unless somebody misses a block. And then that's also perfect for setting up a play, maybe not even that game because they didn't run that formation again, but when the next team watches film on us and now they're going to know that when Shaheed lines up a tailback, he could actually run it just like a running back. Because the only other time they were in that formation was when it was the touchdown to Juwan against the Panthers. So I love that he called the same formation with Shaheed at tailback. The casual eye saying like, all right, so Shaheed's the gimmick. He's not going to run the ball. Taysom's the up back, so look for something else. They're just doing Shaheed there for alignment, and then he hands it off to Shaheed. It was awesome.
And then they handed it off to Taysom out of the backfield too. So you love that, right?
Yeah.
I want AK between the tackles where he can get through, make that shifty move, and get forward.
Well, you texted that to me, not to the group, where you're like, this is the way to use AK. You're not trying to get him out wide where he has to outrun somebody to the corner. Have him go up in the middle.
Yeah.
He makes his moves and weaves his way through, and then he's going to be off to the races.
I think AK is, obviously is the most versatile back for what he can do on a football field, play by like the different types of play calls you can call for him. But I think even as a runner, just pure runner, he offers you the most versatility of being able to run A-B gap, but also when it's timed right, called at the right time, to get a toss play for positive yards.
Yeah.
You're not trying to do a toss play to him for him to house it. When Kendrick's in there, you might be looking for a house call. But AK did have effective runs turning the corner. It wasn't like he got stopped every time he tried to turn the corner. But
you can't.
I'm talking more in
you
sweeps
can't,
and things like that.
Yeah, it's not his forte.
That's not his thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not his strength. That's ETN. That's what you do with the Jaguars do with ETN. You don't do that with
But I like that they changed it up with him. They didn't restrict him to only A-B gap runs. They ran him off tackle in both directions.
No, you have to be versatile. It can't be a tell. Like how many times did you and I say, "Oh, Kirkwood and Burden are on the field. It's going to be a run."
So I'm saying, like, while he might not have the speed of old, and he certainly doesn't have the same speed period as Kendre, he still can run the off tackle plays, which is good to see.
I think something we talked about quite a bit was his Hall of Fame case.
It's back on. It's back in play now.
In that we really hoped he got 2 more really great seasons left somehow, that Clint would bring him back and get him to that level of those 2 more Pro Bowl level seasons to see him maybe get back into that.
The magic number.
Man,
100.
I don't know. You got 5 touchdowns in 2 games, and there's a potential 15 touchdown season on the horizon, and he doesn't need to match that yardage, but I think we all believe he's going 1,100 total yards if he doesn't get hurt. That's almost a guarantee with the way we're running this offense. That case is back on.
The door is wide open again.
And if we're talking about his contemporaries, well, Christian McCaffrey's out for a bunch of games. AK is going to pass him up in most statistics.
Mac's looking at me because he's on my
trying
fantasy.
to trade in fantasy.
Him and Chubb.
I have him in 2 fantasy teams this year, so it's killing me.
My fantasy bench has so much potential right now.
I have Chubb in the other one too. So
your fantasy bench has the potential of like 4 Pete Carmichaels.
But he's winning without him, so he's okay.
He hasn't won yet. He's 0-1, and he has not won tonight yet. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He's gonna beat his brother tonight.
Thanks for bringing that up for me.
But I think that's one that's encouraging for him to stay maybe at a reduced rate next year.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I think it bodes well across the board.
Wait,
he's now featured.
What's causing him to stay at a
the
reduced rate?
success of the team and his role.
So if Kamara's looking at it like, I have personal goals to hit up maybe 100 touchdowns in a career.
Reduce his rate?
No, he said it increases it.
His probability of staying at a reduced rate from what he's currently making.
Reduced rate money-wise.
Oh.
So
no one's paying him the money he's making right now.
Right. You would think he would look at this situation and say, I might put up 12 to 15 touchdowns this year, maybe it makes more sense for me to take a little bit less money in 2025.
Oh, to stay with the play caller
stay with the Saints
correct.
with a big role
I
rather
was
than
like,
being a
it's like usually the way NFL
you
contracts work is when you're.
You saw how it worked for Dalvin Cook, right? He left for the money.
Yeah.
He got 1 year of money.
And his career's over.
AK may look at that, hey, I'm going to stay here.
I forget what Dalvin's performance was, though, the year before he went.
1,000 yards. 1,000 yards.
Like 1,200 yards.
I
To
literally
nothing.
I didn't remember. That's what I was saying.
Went to a team with a young running back. They're like, hey, that's our guy. You're our veteran,
And then he's on a practice squad by mid-season. It's
if
like,
you
what
chase the
fuck?
money for AK, that's where you could end up. I think.
And the other thing is, AK, I think
He's a smart guy.
that he wants
He's
to
a
stay
smart
here.
guy, so
If he can play 2 or 3 more years and
put up 10 touchdowns a year.
Our
average.
bigger concern now, if Kubiak keeps this up, is keeping him in house.
Kubiak or Kamara?
Kubiak, or both.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
if Kubiak does this all year,
yes.
he's
If
going to
we
be a
go to the
candidate.
NFC Championship game or something, Kubiak's going to get calls. There's no doubt
Right.
about it. 1 year, maybe done. You never know.
You just got to hire his QB coach and just say, hey, you
Keep
got
it-
the promotion,
keep it
do
in
the
the
same
family.
thing.
Yeah.
You'll get the job next
Yeah.
year. I mean, that's just the reality.
It's that's new NFL. They're happy to take. I mean, look what Carolina's dealing with for jumping on a coordinator a little too soon. It's
They got a lot of other problems, but
they
the
do.
owner, first and foremost.
Yeah, but
That
they
guy's fucking jackass.
they're averaging 6 points a game. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, they're a mess.
terribly run
This guy's
organization.
an offensive mind, comes in, changes nothing. So
Yeah.
it's I do think he gets calls. I mean, for sure, if he keeps this up and we double-digit wins, win the division, win a playoff game, 100% right. He's going to get a bunch of calls. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he is.
So, looking back at it, obviously we were all wrong, I think, on our predictions for this. I think we were on the right track with all three of us believed it to be a competitive game, that we would compete, where I think if you asked us that before the season started, no chance we would have said that. We would have all said this is part of that bloodbath run where we could lose 3 in a row. So I think that's good news. Obviously, being wrong on this one and winning by that much.
happy
was a
we were
complete
wrong.
shot. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's a question for you. Are you now a convert? Are you a believer? Or do you feel like this wasn't a fluke? Week 1 obviously wasn't a fluke. The Panthers are fucking terrible. This week, we beat a team that had won, 16 straight at home in the regular season?
15 to 16, yeah.
Yeah, so now do you believe?
Even if they weren't that good, you don't beat teams by 20 and score 40 if you suck.
Right.
That's reality. So we don't suck. We know that. The question is, are we good or are we really good?
Yeah.
And I think we're probably gonna have to wait a little while for that because Clint's offense is going to be on film week to week to week to week, and we got to see
after that midseason point.
Right.
Yeah.
Once we hit midseason, is he able still to dial up at this level with his past on tape, right?
Yep.
Yes, you can take things that the 49ers did and all that and try and get a gauge of his
Right.
offense, but it's still, this is his version of that offense. So,
It's an offshoot of his dad's offense.
yeah, more so than it is
Yeah.
the San Francisco. But there's San Francisco components,
Right.
Yeah.
right.
for sure.
I was thinking too, the beauty,
Or I should say Shanahan components.
Shanahan, yeah.
The beauty of his offense too is that even if you game plan it perfectly, you still got to get your players to remember all the different clues. Like if you're the opposing defense, your guys actually have to execute
Right.
defending it. So you could know, all right, when they're in this formation, there's only 3 different plays they can run, and I'll know off of the QBs and wide receivers' first step that it's going to be this play. It's like, okay, so first you got to recognize it. Then if you're the defender, you got to diagnose it. Then you have to fucking run.
Yeah.
Right? And so
look,
there's
he
still
puts-
a chance that, other teams can have us sniffed out. And the beauty of the offense is that, this is where health comes into play too, because if Shaheed's out there,
Health can change everything.
if
Right.
Shaheed's out there, you're the cornerback or safety. You've diagnosed everything. You're like, all right, I know it's coming. Shaheed's so talented that he could still just throw you in the spin cycle and lose you.
Yeah,
But
depth still concerns
Yeah.
me because we covered it. We covered it really well in the season preview episode. We all said the wide receiver position, the depth scared us. We all knew. We all said that Olave and Shaheed, we felt good about those two.
We said that across the board on the skill spots.
Yeah,
because
we were
they're
all
thin.
concerned about running back, tight end, wide receiver, everything. So, man, if something happens to one of those receivers, that could really throw a wrench into the game plan. If something happens to Kamara,
Same thing.
same thing.
It's trouble.
You know, if something happens to Fuaga, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank God Fuaga was able to play. Look, I know offensive linemen are not going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's just not going to happen. But the reality is,
He was
that
second in the
dude is
rankings, I
the
think.
most impactful offensive rookie so far
Yeah,
in the league.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially
Jaden
with-
Daniels
with-
has something to say, but
Well, and Harrison
He's played pretty
last
damn
week
well.
was phenomenal, but because he had kind of a down first week, it keeps a guy like Fuaga in the. When someone says, "Find me a better performing offensive rookie," it's kind of hard to come up with one.
Look,
maybe beside
look,
we
when-
win
when
11
Baldinger-
games. He's
Malik
going to the Pro
Neighbors,
Bowl.
yeah.
Okay. He's going to go to the Pro Bowl if we win 11
Well,
games.
you already got analysts like Brian Baldinger. Basically, he's like, "This is Willie Roaf." He's like, "This is Willie Roaf again."
I was watching that video when Baldinger, who you have to respect,
You have
he's
to,
highly
yeah.
credible. When a guy like that is saying midstream, "This is the second coming of Willie Roaf,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh Lord, he just said that.
It was
like,
funny.
It actually kind of like stopped me in my tracks.
All three of us were texting when they were
Shit.
showing the montage of all the different linemen and the blocking and
Yeah.
all that, and we're
Oh,
like,
my God.
hey, it all looked good, but one dude looked way different than everyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
no one moved him.
He's
was,
an alien.
Yeah,
he's Samoan.
so
That's more
something to say
dangerous than
about
aliens.
Samoan alien.
something to say about sitting tight in the draft, being patient, huh? Sometimes maybe we should try that a little more often.
I don't know.
It kills us all because we all
hasn't
wanted.
said that?
We all wanted Brock Bowers.
I always say. I
we all wanted Brock
trade
Bowers.
back.
He
But
had
you
a
know
great
what?
game too. He had a great game
The
too.
reality is, Fuaga is the more important player.
Yeah.
And especially now that he's playing left tackle. Gee, he's played 2 games in his life at left tackle.
I know. It's a home
And-
run.
Fucking crazy.
And yeah, Micah Parsons
Remember all the shit people were giving the Saints?
being in the second one is
Like everyone was.
The smart people weren't. The smart people weren't.
Well, the vocal.
This isn't to quote you from earlier. This isn't a knock, but you were one of the biggest critics of moving him to, and I was too, moving him to a different tackle position. It's like,
But I feel like mid-episode, y'all changed your stance
No,
on that.
we said it was fine to try
initially,
it out.
yeah,
Yes.
we were fine.
We
With
weren't
trying
against it. We said try it out, but if it's not working,
We hate the general premise of the Saints drafting a guy and then saying,
Moving them, yeah.
you were all American, all conference at that position. Let's put you at a different one.
to be
think
fair,
you-
it hasn't worked.
But right, that's
This
what I'm
is
saying.
the first time it's worked in a while.
Like
I
Zach
think y'all
Bond
both
was terrible.
realized as we talked about that the other option at left tackle was Penning.
Right,
And you were
right,
like,
right.
okay, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
No,
And now,
it was absolutely worth a flyer in training camp and during the preseason because that is the most important position. It protects the quarterback's blind side if they're a right-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
So it was worth a shot.
And in our unique circumstances of having a first-round tackle who was completely shitting the bed, it had the added
There is
benefit
no
of
way-
giving him a change in scenery, moving him to right tackle because, we've learned that Penning's very much all up in his head. He plays better with confidence and stuff. So
we'll talk about that
know-
but there's no way they went through the draft process with Fuaga and didn't think about that before they drafted.
Oh, yeah.
So they had that
Yeah.
dialed in, and that's what I think we came to the conclusion. I was like, well, maybe they knew something, right?
They
From the-
probably have, draft scores on every lineman at every lineman position.
Yeah.
Like they could probably tell you, oh, Fuaga, he's the
He can
best at
probably
left
move.
tackle.
He
He's
can-
he's an X-rated, whatever rated guard, whatever rated center.
Well, here's another way to look at it. Look at the 49ers offensive line. Can you name anyone on that offensive
Let's
line
have Trent Williams,
other than
but-
Trent
yeah.
Williams, who's
No.
the left tackle?
No.
So what that offense, it truly does mask
I
the
like that-
deficiencies on the offensive line.
Well,
But
I think
again,
what
like-
he's done with Penning, just real quick, is
Pennies look good.
stop thinking and let Penning attack people.
Yeah.
Let's get the technique a little bit on the back burner.
Right.
We're going to let you go downhill at
Yeah.
people.
It's,
and that
the-
has worked.
Yeah.
It's the Top Gun approach.
Yeah.
If you think, you're dead.
All right, Corey.
So it's true. It's true. Just
think-
let him play. Don't think.
Yeah, but make him more aggressive, where he's not passive and trying to get into a set and do everything seems to be, and he's given him help. He has quite a bit, and he's masked that for sure. And that is the biggest of the whole offense. That is by far, to me, the most surprising thing is that he took guys that all three of us thought this is a dumpster fire potentially at offensive line. If Fuaga isn't an all-pro level tackle right out the gate,
Which he looks like he is.
which he is. That's worked out. McCoy and Ruiz have gotten even better. It by all accounts, it looks both better. Ruiz now 3 years in a row looks better than the year prior so far. But then you're starting the Penning Patrick, and you're like,
Patrick's been fine.
He's been great.
Now he's in between McCoy and Fuaga,
Right, he's covered up.
He's covered up.
But again, we were worried about that. And to see how they're all the only thing that you can knock on the offensive line is too many penalties. And Penning had the personal foul this week, which, I think we all know we're getting about 8 of those a year with him.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. Because that means he's playing like Penning.
It's the price of admission.
Exactly.
Did you see him on because they just kind of popped out at me on Kamara's first touchdown? If you follow Penning's block, he murdered a guy.
He murdered multiple people.
But this one in particular, it was kind of like he ended up, it was like a stretch play for him. And he ended up having one arm on the dude. And Penning kept moving forward with one arm. And the guy's feet had become stagnant. And he just ends up leaning back. And
he did
folds all the way over. And Penning was like, and just put him into the
on those run plays where we're all going the same direction.
Dude,
he's just planting people.
It was a one-handed pancake. It was unbelievable.
We all knew he had that, but what we're seeing, none of us thought.
Well, they had him thinking too much and questioning himself in the first 2 seasons. It's like, let this guy, just turn him loose, let him do what he does well.
A little bit. He was also injured, and he was also in his head.
He was injured the first year, but he was in his head, and he
was in his head about
they were coaching out the aggressiveness, which you can't do with somebody.
He was
like
too
that.
worried about screwing up.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was like technique. You saw Ramczyk working with him.
Yeah.
And, so... Yeah, I agree. He's playing. He's just playing.
My biggest takeaway from the first 2 games is coaching absolutely matters.
Yeah.
Because you are seeing the difference between when you have an offensive coordinator who basically was getting coffee for Sean Payton for 15 years and had no business running an offense of his own. And then you take that and you put it side by side with someone who actually has a cohesive game plan, to your point earlier, is setting plays up later in the game, probably setting plays up for later in the season.
Yeah.
Kind of like Peyton used to do. Remember the Zach Strief tackle eligible that he set up for 3 years?
Can we talk about another component of that, though, in that maybe the league has passed the Peyton offense?
Oh, it has.
It's not working for
It's
Peyton
not working,
either.
yeah.
It's not working for Peyton either. That offense may be dead, and he needs to evolve it. Obviously, Pete, I don't think anyone thought he was an innovator. He was, like you said, he was Peyton's little sidekick.
He was getting him coffee.
But Peyton's offense is struggling big time.
Yeah.
And I know he's got a rookie quarterback this year. Last year, Russell Wilson, we don't know. I mean, maybe his career's over. There's excuses to be made that are probably valid, but still, he's scoring single digits in games right now. So maybe that offense is dead in this new NFL.
It is, because you and I harped on it last year all the time about motion. Yeah. Just doing stuff pre-snap. They didn't do shit under Carmichael.
No.
Ever.
It was
like
just
Peyton's
so...
thing was like rotating in all the different, the different formations, the different people, different packages. But in today's NFL, like, you see the most successful offenses are the ones doing stuff pre-snap, where they're confusing the defense, they're showing different looks. You talked about it with Shaheed in the backfield, Taysom in the backfield as well. We did none of that. I think we were last in the league last year.
Yeah.
This year we've been in the top. I think we might be first in it.
And there were some people coming out last year saying, oh, the roster's just not talented, or we just don't have
the same roster
exactly.
as last year.
That's the thing. We just don't have the personnel to run whatever.
It's probably worse.
There were games last year where we had guys hurt, so that's fine. But like, Kubiak is proving that we've always had the guys. At least when Carmichael was here, and it's just last year the whole time. It's one of those things where I'm like, it's this obvious, right?
But let's
not
forget.
It's this obvious. It's Carmichael.
Yeah.
Shaheed injured multiple games. Olave injured multiple games. Kamara injured multiple games. Don't discredit that and think that we're automatically going to overcome that if that happens again. I think this is a very thin team, like Matt said, on offense. On defense, I think the exact opposite. We sat Lattimore because we're good. That's crazy. Yeah. Lattimore wanted to play. He sat. Defense, I think, is...
Well, we're worse at wide receiver because last year you had Thomas.
Right.
The offensive line, so we lost Pete, who was arguably the top offensive lineman last year on the team.
And I'm watching this, and
Fuaga's a step up, obviously.
No, I agree. But this offense is built for Pete.
It's built for all of them. Anyone who's athletic.
The super athletic.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he would have taken Patrick's spot or whatever if we decided to resign him. But this offense is built for Andrus Pete. Like he would.
Right. Look at the linemen. Fuaga, athletic as fuck. Yeah. Penning, athletic as fuck. Ruiz, athletic as fuck. McCoy, athletic as fuck. Right. Patrick, he's doing fine. He's doing the best with what he was. He's doing good.
So I'm not going to say he wasn't a loss. We're doing fine, but Would I feel a little better if we had an extra if Patrick was the sixth offensive lineman?
Oh,
I'd feel a lot better.
But look, running back, it's the exact same room.
Yeah.
Quarterback,
Same.
it's the exact same room because you're not going
Right.
to see the other two guys, so it doesn't matter.
There isn't
Fullback, the exact same
There
room.
is not a different starter.
Tight end, the exact same
No
room.
starter
It's-
besides Patrick is. I mean, and yeah, like you said,
This is
but-
just the greatest example over a year span of how much coaching truly matters.
yeah,
But
and,
all I'm
and the
saying
position
is,
coaches matter as
if
well.
they get the injuries,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
can manage
but-
the injury, because last year you
Well,
can't discount
I think
the fact that we had injuries last year.
I
Quite
feel
a few.
better.
No, absolutely, but
I feel better about having a guy like Kubiak at the helm in the event we get injured, because one of my biggest knocks, and we talked about it with Carmichael,
That couldn't deal with injuries that well.
We
for
said
sure. Yeah.
when we were injured, when Shaheed was out, when we had Olave out, we were still bemoaning the fact that we had no variety, no exotic looks, no motion, no play action. And your point, I'm not saying like Nick was wrong, but you weren't the only one. A lot of people were like, we can't run that stuff because we don't have our guys. I think when you don't have your guys, you have to run that shit more. You have to do more to get the defense out of position if you know the guys lining up against them are maybe not as fast and as talented. If you're
Maybe.
I-
I mean,
but
it
I mean,
depends in which context
you have
you're
to
talking.
give your offensive dudes, they're all adults. They're professionals. Okay,
If our receivers are tipped in above means, I
but-
don't think you're going real creative.
But why-
Two rookie receivers,
But I mean, again, yes, they're rookies. Yes, they're young.
they have to
but
get
I mean,
everything right.
Yeah, they're professionals. They're in the league. What are you just going to
I
stop?
hope we don't get to the point where
You're going to
this-
stop running
I don't want to
motion?
see this. No, I'm not saying you stop
I mean,
running motion. I'm
you stop
saying
doing play action?
You can't
'Cause-
just run the whole playbook when you put in two rookies. That
Well, you can't. Maybe you can't run. Yeah, like there's plays that
also
only,
Olave and Shaheed a year older, year three wide receiver.
right.
Like all these things have a little
I mean, there's
bit to do
plays
with.
that Olave and Shaheed are going to be able to run that the other
Shaheed
guys
especially.
physically cannot do.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't think that you. I think you find a way to do more to get the defense out of position, because it's like if you've got younger guys who are already inexperienced and then you don't do something to mix up the defense, then you're setting them up for failure. You're
I hear you.
You're making it easy
unless-
on the defense on already easy players.
Unless you do what the Packers did, and that's what you feel this week. Perfect example. Or Steelers for the last since Roethlisberger left. We've got a great defense. We're going to not put them in bad spots. We're going to stay vanilla. We're not going to turn it over. We're not going to Ian Book it. We're going to sit tight. We're going to take it easy. We're going to run the
literally
ball.
did that with Carmichael last year.
What you mean?
Like vanilla, lean on the defense.
We did. That's what I'm saying. That's an approach that has been proven to work too when you don't have your best talent
Do
on
you
offense.
think it worked last year for our offense?
When we lost 8K, we had our best 3 games of the season. I don't know if it worked, but I'm just saying it's not an idiotic approach if you have a great defense. If you do not, I
Okay.
agree with you. You have
Sure.
to take chances.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you have something, and I'm not saying they had an elite defense. I think that's
Right.
what they thought. And if that's what they thought, they're like, okay, let's keep it vanilla. Let's not give games away. We're going to try and win them 16-13. Steelers have been doing it for 3 years. Dude goes to the playoffs every year. It's a dog shit team. We all know this, right?
That defense is nasty.
So it is.
Yeah.
And they're better than our defense was last year, no question about it. I'm just saying it's an approach. I'm not saying that's the approach I would pick. I'm just
Right.
saying if you think you're a defensive coach and you think that's a reasonable thought process, like this week the Packers ran the ball 40-something times. They're like, we're going to try and win 16-10, and they did. It's a game or two till you get your people back, then you open back up, right? So I think there's no debate. We're not debating whether Carmichael should have stayed. Obviously, we all know that this was 100%.
I mean, bottom line, it's a night and day difference between
100%.
Carmichael and Kubiak. That's
see
that's
it-
the only point we're trying to make here.
And I
But
agree
to-
with y'all 100%. The young coaches are the ones innovating right now. Across the league, those are the teams doing the best. The question is this a long term and we can keep him for a long time? He goes and gets a better job, or do defenses catch up with him a little? That's what
the
we got to
question.
wait to see.
That's
That's
the
what we got to
question.
wait to see.
Yeah, and the reality is, if this does keep up, he won't be here next year.
He won't.
Unless he decides to pull a Ben Johnson and say, I'm going to wait this out one more year and possibly get, whatever job he's got his eye on.
That's the question, because he will get the low job offers for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to wait for a really great quarterback? Wait for the Harbaugh job, right? Get Justin Herbert. Let me build a team around the guy who's going to be here 10 years,
Right.
Or is he just going to want to take the first gig that comes across, right? Dable taking that first offer when he probably should have had a job before that. Now he's with Daniel Jones, and how's that working out?
Yeah, and the guy for the Panthers who ran to the
Canales,
first offer.
Took the first offer. He's in jail right now, and the team he left is 2-0. That's up to him, and I don't blame him if someone's going to offer him $8 million. I mean, God bless him.
I saw someone posted Gale needs to go ahead and add him to the what was it, the trust or whatever, to where keep him locked up.
Can we franchise tag him?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I don't think they'll catch up to him. I really don't. I think it's not going to be 40 points a week. We all know that. But I think this is going to stay pretty unique. I think he's you don't change what we had, because I still don't believe it's a great offensive roster. I still don't.
I think it's that's what makes it amazing.
Yeah, that's why I think.
But is it a good one?
It's decent.
It's a decent offensive. We covered this in the season preview. It is not a good offensive roster.
I think, Corey,
we go too deep in wide receiver.
Without thinking, you're trading for 10 offensive rosters, not ours, in a second.
Yeah.
You're not even thinking. Then maybe you can get into I'd prefer Olave.
Yeah, I'm not saying we have the
10th
top 10 ranked.
He's doing that with what I think is not a great roster, which makes me think he's going to innovate more than someone who's dominating with the Eagles' talent, for instance, right? Yeah. He doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Right? And like we've been saying, he's doing it because kind of out of necessity.
We have one running back, 2 wide receivers.
Right.
Yep.
We still don't have a tight end.
I guess what I'm saying, I'm thinking of it in terms of the starters, the front line, but as a whole, it's thin.
Yeah, look at San Francisco's.
He's making lemonade out of lemons here.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the best way to put it.
There's some really great skill position teams. I mean, we don't have that. We've got good players. We don't have a single, other than AK, we don't have a single Pro Bowl on the offensive. McCoy and Kamara and Carr have all made a Pro Bowl in their careers, right?
Yeah,
that's it. So skill-wise, you've got Kamara, which has been 4 years since he's made a Pro Bowl. So
he's been in hibernation for 3 years.
Yeah.
Now, we love Olave. We love a Shaheed. We love things we see. But this is not a top 10 skill position offense. And he's doing this with that.
Yeah. And that's not even debatable. I mean, anybody that would argue that, I would.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's top 10. I think it's good. I think we have good players. But but top to bottom, you can't say we don't have good players.
I mean, no, we didn't say we don't have good players.
Right, I said I think we have good players, and you said.
I'm saying comparatively, we don't have the same level of players.
We're in the bottom half of the league, I would say.
I think so, too.
Yeah, offensive talent.
I think so, too.
We're somewhere between 16 and 32.
Yeah. I don't think we're bottom.
No, we're not saying that. But I think
maybe close to bottom 10.
We're not the Panthers. We're not the Giants.
Where we all rank Carr on that QB game show list is probably where our offensive talent belongs in that same area, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Would you like to revisit those rankings?
I don't know.
I've got it. I think I still have it.
I don't know if we can be there for that long tonight.
So I had him 17, Corey 19, Max 21 on the QB scale. Right now, he's top 3 without a doubt on the season.
He's number 1 in QBR.
I know. I just mean if you were to vote an MVP, he's going to get votes.
We're going to have to do a.
We're going to revisit it.
A total offense game show.
Okay.
That would be a fun one.
We've done position. We've done individuals, but now
I think that could be a fun
sounds
one.
like we're going to have to do a total starters.
I like it. Let's do that one. And we're also, for those watching and listening, we're going to revisit some classic episodes that we've done in the past. So we'll redo the top 10 Saints of all time. We'll reconstruct the Saints starting lineup.
Right. All time. Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's a year later. We can go ahead and revisit it, see if anything's changed, and maybe
my fullback will not change.
Well, I know your wide receiver won't either. So, but we'll go ahead and.
There's more than one wide receiver on the team.
So we got to still talk about our picks, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Last week, so we all had a loss, right? So we all missed on that, even though we all said competitive loss.
I still believe that if I picked us to win, Sunday would not have happened.
All right, well, keep picking us to lose then. If that's the case.
Can't do that. But
I tried that last year; it didn't work.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get like Max did.
It's the only reason you got close in the standings, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Corey and Max both picked Taysom. Obviously, he got hurt and didn't get too many opportunities. I think he had 20-something total yards.
Yeah, that was amazing. He was my fantasy tight end slot, so I can tell you.
I had AK, who I think was the MVP. I think it's pretty
Wait,
clear.
you think? You going out of the
I mean,
limb?
Carr was amazing.
That's a
too.
Corey level hot take from last year.
Before the fourth touchdown, I would have given it to Carr probably.
No.
He fell apart in the end.
No.
He was 11 of 13, 220 and 3 total touchdowns.
You got Carr colored glasses on, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know,
No,
dude.
it was Kamara.
As about as flawless until that pick
If
as a
Kamara
QB
had
could be.
2 touchdowns, you could argue for everything he did in the game.
Yeah, but the 4,
Still.
no. You
Not
hit 4
4,
touchdowns, you're winning.
I agree. I'm saying before the fourth touchdown, I think that shorted up.
Carr
It
looked
was
a little shaky
in the
after
fourth.
that
Well,
interception.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
in the fourth, Kamara took it clearly, but I went back and watched that throw again. I know we were arguing about it. I don't know if Olave slowed his route or what. When you see that from behind the play, that throw is money. Dude, go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it.
Jesus.
Well, we're back here. We're back to this point.
I'm just. It wasn't a terrible throw. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't terrible.
That's
it wasn't a terrible
right.
throw.
That's what we said.
But it was
not-
his fault for the interception.
It was a not terrible throw, but in the NFL, not terrible gets picked off.
I just feel like if you can get your whole palm on a ball, you probably could have thrown your other hand up there. I mean, it hit him dead center in the hand.
Why don't you try that right now?
I'm
Just
not a
lay
professional.
out on the table.
I'll do it. It's probably not going to look too good, but I'll do it if it makes you feel good.
There's no way. Dude, Carr.
Okay, time
look,
out. At the risk of veering off on a 10-minute tangent, it wasn't an awful throw. It was a off throw
Yeah,
that
Nick.
led to an interception.
Yeah.
Look, it's
I
going to
agree.
be okay.
gonna
Carr
be
was
okay.
off the mark.
I'm fine with it. It doesn't even bother me. We were up 30.
Seems like it bothers you a little bit.
But I'm just saying I don't think it was that bad of a throw. I don't know
This
why.
is going to be the only bad part about if Carr keeps cooking is going to be having to sit next to him.
well, you had to
boy.
listen to it last year when I kept sticking up for
You're
him,
just
but-
trying to blame Olave.
I'm not trying to blame him. I don't know what happened because coming out of his hand,
What
I
happened
thought it was caught.
Carr missed.
Because the angle in the game was from behind, and it looked like a fucking great route and a catch.
My thing with that, he was going for a big play.
I don't know.
Just hit him right in the numbers. Make it just it's that point in the game where you got a big lead. Just hit him
I
in the
told you we
numbers.
should have just
keep
been running
going.
it.
Yeah.
We should have
I said
been.
I hated the play call. I hated it.
But my point is that like hit him right between the numbers.
Maybe so. You're probably right.
You don't need to lead him to go for a big play. And you know he was probably he's like, all right, I've hit Shaheed 2 weeks in a row for a 59-yarder and a 70-yarder.
You're probably right on that.
It's like
I
just
think
hit him right here.
He didn't need to, but look, you bring up a good point though, because one thing I thought about Carr, especially early on, is that all of his throws were to a point where the receiver did not have to break stride, especially the crossing routes.
They were perfect.
Last year, we kind of bemoaned a lot of his throws, like the receivers had to stop, catch, slow their momentum, and then that was not there. Every crossing route, the guys
Some
could
of that's on the receivers too from
the
last year.
accuracy yesterday was crazy.
on point.
It was
Right.
flawless.
So
until the fourth
My
quarter.
point of bringing that up is, if he's gonna miss, and yes, that one did turn into an interception, I'm fine for now until it becomes a problem. Seeing him err on the side of leading a guy rather than throwing it behind him, I think.
Well, I'm not saying throw him behind him. I'm saying just hit him right in the chest. Make it a no-brainer. Because
Well,
at that point in the
yeah,
game, to Nick's
maybe
point,
so.
we
No,
didn't
but I
need to
mean,
be throwing the ball.
We
We shouldn't have been throwing the ball.
Ideally, but I'm okay with him being aggressive with trying to lead the guys, because the alternative, if you're trying to hit him in the chest, throw it behind him.
I'll say this. I loved it. I don't remember. I think it was the second quarter, maybe the third. And he could have made a risky throw into the end zone.
And
they
he
showed
looked at
the re-
Shaheed and shook his head because she was raising his hand.
Yeah.
And that's getting
do
picked
remember
all
that.
day long.
Yeah.
All day long.
Exactly. And I was watching that. I was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
I said he showed restraint.
Yep.
He didn't get greedy and go for the throw that probably was going to be intercepted. And I feel
There's
like in the
games
fourth,
last year, he
in the
would've-
fourth quarter, when he threw that interception, he was like, fuck it, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And I wish you just show a little bit of restraint, hit him in the numbers, get the first down, run
Maybe.
the ball in
And
the game.
It probably got away from him a little bit.
It did a little bit. It wasn't an awful throw. It just got away from him.
It was
a little
wide
bit.
open.
Wide
It
open.
could have been adapted. It could have been a million things. And
Yeah.
it's still bad luck it was picked. Let's be honest. That's still bad luck
Yeah.
that it tipped straight up in the air to DB.
Right.
That play was there. And I'm with Corey.
was there, yeah.
If you're going to call that play, throw that play. Don't throw it in the ground trying to – no.
Yeah.
If we're
No,
calling
I'm
that crossing
saying
route –
throw it, but just say it. I'm not
I hear
gonna
what
go
you're
up-
saying.
yeah.
I'm saying, but
I think he kinda
I
took
think
the
you do it in rhythm.
He kind of took
you
the
just-
opposite approach. He was kind of like, we're up by a lot, so I'm going to keep taking chances. I'm almost going to be more aggressive.
That's what he did, yeah.
You know, because
It's the Madden approach. It's what you
less-
do in Madden. You're
less
beating
to
one of your
lose.
you're beating
Yeah.
one of your buddies. You're like,
And
fuck it,
maybe-
I'm chucking it up.
Maybe
Right.
I just don't think we're good enough to be doing that yet, and I'm just haven't accepted it. Yeah, I love that. With Breeze, I would have loved that.
Yes.
Right? I don't know if our offense is that legit yet. I still haven't fully accepted it.
We
I
need
think
more games to look. We're on track. Like
because that's
I think you said it
heavy
perfectly.
aggressive, dude.
We can tell
We're up 20.
Look, Carolina game looks great. Tom Brady said it. 47 points. I don't care who you're playing in the NFL is 47 points.
Yes, exactly.
But we still know it wasn't enough to prove anything. I think having with these 2 games now, the game we had against Dallas on top of Carolina, Dallas being a good defense by all accounts, we can prove that we do not suck.
We don't suck.
We could not say that last year.
I will firmly say my prediction of 7 wins
It's going down
is
for
the
sure.
absolute floor.
I hope so.
And that is even with some injuries, I think you don't go below 7. I think your prediction of 10.
No, we were both 9. We both came 9.
thought
I
you
went,
just
up, I went up to 10.
He went up to 10.
Oh, did you? I still have it as 9 on here. What'd you change?
He said 10.
You must have a different sheet.
Yeah, you're on a different sheet.
The
That's
first run we did.
9-3.
No, he picked 10.
We did it in
Oh no, that's June.
Yeah.
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 Corey said 10. I know
You're
that.
right. I had him 9 and 8. You had
I
10.
will
Here it
give
is.
Corey his flowers. He picked 10, and I'll be honest with you, he's looking the best on this right now.
Yeah, we're 2
And
games.
I hope he's right.
2 games in. I hope I'm right.
Actually,
too.
I hope you're wrong, and it's 17.
Oh well, yeah.
But which
There's your optimism.
actually,
coming
time out.
You were reserving
Did
that.
you clip my prediction from the last year's season preview when I said
Let's
Carr's
not
going to be
play
the
that.
MVP?
Don't jinx us. Come on.
Oh,
Stop.
no,
Not yet.
no.
Wait a few weeks.
I know, but
We'll bring it back.
When
We'll
you-
bring it back, but not yet.
1 year behind you.
save that.
I
I was
think
a year ahead of the curve.
I'm with Max.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see a losing season now.
I don't. See
My
a
question
losing
is
season.
whether it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Right, and I'm also
where we
looking
should-
at the rest of the division. Carolina is a fucking train wreck. Atlanta, well, they might actually. Did they win?
I don't know, but they looked terrible last week.
The Eagles are up by 3 with almost 2 minutes left.
Where
They have the ball.
At Atlanta 10. Game's over. So
Game's
so
over.
so they lost again. They're 0-2. Tampa played great week 1. They played absolutely terrible yesterday and got a win somehow. They had 200 total yards, turnovers, just terrible. And
To be fair, they were playing the NFC favorite.
true, but I mean, they gave the
Give
game
them some
away,
credit,
so
though.
I'm not
They
gonna.
look.
Their defense got run over. Their offense didn't do anything. So we'll see. They didn't perform well, even though they got a win. So we'll see.
Well, they
2-0
won.
is 2-0. It counts.
2-0 is 2-0.
I'm counting that. They did not play well. If you saw any of it, in Baker made a mistake on the
Your
last
ass didn't
drive.
watch any of it. You saw fucking highlights.
I watched a bunch of the replays last night. Yes, I did. You can watch all
You
the
watched
games if
replays?
you want. Yeah. Go watch it. The fake punt where he blew it, going for it on 4th down. Campbell just went crazy. I don't know what to tell you. He's uber aggressive, and when Goff's playing great, they are impossible to beat.
The Bucks are a solid team. I said it. I said they were
Okay,
solid.
rephrase. Are you afraid of the Bucks?
I'm not afraid of them,
Are the
but
Bucks-
I think the Bucks are going to
Bucks
give us
finishing
more
ahead
issues.
of us.
I don't think so, but I do think they're going to give us more issues than Atlanta, who we all thought Atlanta was going to be the top, I guess, threat in the
I
NFC
agree.
South.
I definitely
So
thought
I
that.
do now, after watching Atlanta, I do think that the Bucks are the bigger threat to us in the
I
South.
feel like if
Bucks
Atlanta
look solid.
sucks,
The Bucks look solid.
I think if Atlanta sucks, we are golden. I'm not worried about the Bucks beating us.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not.
They look pretty solid, man.
They look solid.
Based on what? Game 1?
They played good, decent defense, but really the offense is turned. I mean, Baker's looking.
They
I
have
hate
not
to say
played
it.
defense. That's not true.
Hey, they beat the
They played
preseason, one
enough-
of the top 2
enough
preseason
defense.
NFC
Yeah, they
teams
did.
at the.
They beat the Lions in Detroit.
Yeah.
And they
Look, they won. That's all that matters.
They're 2-0. I'll give you that. No, that's an absolute fact.
the defense did just enough, but it's more about their offense. With they still have the weapons, and Rashad White, who was really good. I mean, Bucky Irving
Godwin's cooking
on
this
your
year.
team, right?
Rashad White went 7 for 13 yesterday.
But I mean, but then Irving's coming up from behind, and he
Yeah.
looks damn good.
I love
just-
Mike Evans and Godwin if they're both healthy.
But I guess if you're
agreed,
telling
that's
me-
elite room.
My point is,
If you tell me the better division rival has a better offense or a better defense, I'd rather the one with the better offense because I feel better about our defense going head to head against.
And I feel their defense is not
offense.
very good.
after
That's what
2
I'm saying.
weeks,
Yeah.
I feel better about the Saints' chances of winning the division than anyone else in the division. That being said,
think it's fair.
out of the rest of the division, I think the Bucks are the biggest threat.
Where do they finish? What do you think, Bucks?
The
2-0
Bucks?
right now. So 2-0 head start, just like us. Where do they finish?
9-8, 10-7.
I think I don't want to say it's a complete coin flip because I do agree with Max that I think I'd still give us the edge. But after 2 games, you have to say it's a 2-horse race in the South between us and the Bucks.
My only hesitation with that is it's new quarterback, new coach. For Atlanta, I mean. New quarterback, new coach. Coming off Achilles, you could see that improve over maybe half a season.
Yeah,
and they could get better.
For sure.
That's what
I
mean by-
agree with
yeah.
what we've seen. I 100% agree that it would appear that that's 15 points. What they score last week? 12 or something?
Yeah, they were.
I mean, that's really bad for an offense everyone thought was going to thrive getting Kirk Cousins in there.
Right.
Cousins isn't healthy. We
not.
can see this.
So the question is, how long does that last? Does he come out of that? Does he not? If he doesn't come out of that, they're toast.
What is he, 36?
Yeah, he's old.
So we worry about Achilles injuries with these guys, and there's something there, man.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers.
He doesn't
yet.
look like Aaron Rodgers.
No,
and he was.
no. And it's one of those injuries where you're like, can it?
That's the worrisome thing about McCaffrey. If you're a McCaffrey owner in fantasy football, or 49ers.
But he hasn't torn
Just
it
when I
yet.
was starting
He
to get
hasn't
back
torn
in
it
the
yet.
flow, Max, you brought it up. You brought it up.
I'll say this: if it's us in the Bucks, I feel great right now. That's my opinion. That's where I think
Based off of 2 weeks, I would feel good,
I feel like,
but I'm not like it's a slam dunk. It's over.
I feel like a Jerry Seinfeld. Okay,
I'm kind of with you on that.
you know, it's like I'm not busting through the doors about it, but I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Or Larry David.
the Detroit win's a great win, but
that's a great win.
It was
That's
like
a great win.
Yeah.
2 horrible golf picks, a punt, fake punt.
Look, you and I are on the
just saying.
same exact page with Goff.
Yeah.
We think they're in QB purgatory with him. He's not leading them to a Super Bowl
If he
or
just
title.
plays decent, they are excellent, but he doesn't play decent very
And
often.
we did
I
see-
mean,
Yeah,
he
he's-
often doesn't play decent. That's what I'm
That team is not winning anything as long as he is the quarterback.
And we did see times last year where like there's some games where the Lions look
You watched
like,
the whole first week.
like world beaters, and then there's other games where it's like, well, the Lions gone lion. You know, they just like would screw
Well,
something up.
Stafford should have beat him with one offensive lineman and Cooper Kupp, who's now out again, limping around, no Puka. Like the whole team's injured, and he almost beat him in Detroit last week. They lost on the last second field goal.
And they got
They just
boat
don't
raced
look-
by the Cardinals.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they got destroyed by the Cardinals.
Destroyed.
So
Yeah.
I don't think Detroit's hit its stride yet. That's
They
why
haven't.
I'm saying what I'm saying.
Sure.
It just
Okay.
it wasn't a great performance yesterday. Week 1, totally great performance.
that's
They
fine.
played excellent.
No, that's fair. But the Bucks carried over their momentum from winning the division last year. They are still a solid team, and to me, they're the biggest threat to us. So
They're-
obviously, time will tell the tale and what happens.
the best thing
injuries and all
about
that.
the Bucks, you know, looking at them as a division opponent and whether we can best them. Best thing about them this year is that the defense is not.
They
the
lost a lot of
same-
people.
Right. They are not the same defense that we used to have to contend with. You know, even last year, especially going back to the Brady years with them, and then even before that. I mean, they're just different.
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
On defense. So we shall see.
Do we have any other thoughts on the game yesterday? Before we should wrap this one up.
Did we go with
Defensive
defensive
MVP.
MVPs?
We
Yeah.
didn't do that yet. And so next week we'll have the tally up. We're going to keep track of
Yeah,
all three
yeah.
of them.
Corey will keep a running tally and post it from the Twitters.
Yeah.
Or the X, whatever we call it.
Call it the X. The Twitters.
For defense, Max and I both had Chase Young with 2 sacks. He ended up with half a sack.
Now that half a sack won me $130.
we're going to
Good
hear
job.
about that
Cha-ching.
for the next
Yeah.
16
Oh, it's gonna
weeks
happen every
anyway,
week.
So just be
Every
prepared.
time Max hits a anytime scorer bet or
I'm gonna keep
last leg of the
hammering that
parlay.
So we missed. Corey, I think Corey was obviously closest because he had a Debo who had an INT, but
I picked a stat. I was correct about a stat.
he was right about one INT.
I said he will have a pick.
But he does not get a point.
I said
because
it is Dak after all, and Dak threw 2.
We said Granderson was our defensive MVP.
Right.
So.
I think he had the more complete game. Debo had, I mean, not terrible plays, but gave up big chunk yardage plays twice. And
Y'all think Granderson's the?
I think
overall?
Granderson, yeah, sack and a half. He was back there quite a bit. Run game,
he
was
applied
active.
pressure all game, and he finished several.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
It's tough. I mean, Honey Badger would have been in it, but he was part of that terrible play too. So it's hard to say. I think the most complete, really good game was Granderson.
Agree.
And the defensive line in the second half as a whole showed up for the first time in the season. I think the defensive line, when they knew it was pass,
yeah.
it looked a little different than we've seen.
Yeah.
The first 6
Yeah, it's funny.
quarters.
Like no one on the defense had a fantastic game overall against that offense. But it's funny how like not one dude really jumped
Right.
off the page.
Yeah.
Which is the better scenario in my opinion.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
DeMario was
Yeah.
flawless, but
DeMario,
no huge
yeah.
play. So you could
You had
throw
to do
him
like
in the mix.
pop plays, like
Alante led in tackles again, I think.
Chris Harris with the incredible
That hit,
hit on
yeah.
CD, because I think that's one that
Will
CD,
Harris.
Will Harris.
He knocked that.
I think CD
That's
catches
two
that
good games
if,
in a row for him.
If
by
he
the
doesn't
way.
come over, I think CD's going to hold
got
on
a
to
shot. Got a shot for sure. And
So
then
he was
Honey
awesome.
Badger's hit on the other sideline was pretty legit.
Will Harris is
Knocking
another
Alon-
feather in the
Alante-
cap for DA because
100%.
DA knows he can grab any defensive back who is underachieved on any other team, bring them into the mix, and just turn them into a rock solid fucking
Kool-Aid,
player.
nothing special, but no big. No, they didn't get him.
It's funny,
They
like
didn't get him.
He
He
strikes
gave up a
me-
few catches, but they didn't.
He strikes me as being very fundamentally sound. He's not super fast, not like anything crazy physically, but he's
The play
gonna
Corey's
be-
talking about with Harris, he was beat on that play,
Yeah.
but Harris covered him up. But he wasn't beat back. He was there.
no, yeah,
He was there,
He was
yeah.
there. I think it's like it's not because his coverage is bad. I just think CD's that good to where
Yeah.
he makes those catches where you're just like you hate it as an opposing fan because you're like, God, he's one of 5 dudes that could make that catch.
We were one
You know?
tackle away from playing CD absolutely perfect the whole game. That one
Yeah.
tackle by
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yeah.
One tackle away from a perfect
No, you're right.
defensive
You're
play.
right. Absolutely. But it's
So we gave none of us a point for that one. Corey being the closest, but
So you get offense.
That's
and
it.
That's it. Okay, so we'll keep a tally of this, and we'll keep it going for the whole season, and kind of see where it shakes out.
and we'll decide what the winner gets.
and then we'll fuck
Yeah.
with each other relentlessly over whoever wins. I'm sure.
of course. Well, we'll do that.
We should put some money on the line.
We'll do that regardless.
I think we should.
At
Let's
least
put
some
money.
booze.
It needs something, yeah. Some kind of
So-
stakes.
Next episode.
He and I
we'll-
can't do anything without putting money on it.
I mean,
We know
it makes
this.
sense to put something on the line.
What else are we gonna do? Next week's Philly. So
We learned that at age 12.
What would we possibly be doing? Being financially responsible, saving our money? Nah, that's terrible.
Spend it now, make
This is
more later.
Not fun.
it probably evens up in the end anyway. As long as you're giving it to friends, who cares?
Exactly.
True.
With that, though, I think we should go ahead and wrap this one up.
Yeah, I think. Look, fantastic win. I mean, amazing.
Amazing.
Again,
If you're not optimistic right now,
oh
just
wait,
stop watching.
I would be so
please.
remiss if I didn't bring up my favorite word.
Oh, here we go. Consistency.
We were consistent.
There it is.
Through 2 games.
Hey,
I
Corey.
still want to see more. I don't know if like you can say 2
How
is
far in
consistency.
are we? How far in are we?
Hour 6.
You're hour 6 and only one shout out so far.
No shout-outs.
Did I even give a shout out? Or I said Discord.
You said the same
Is
thing.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only one. So
Look, I took your
anybody
words.
else we need to mention here?
I took your words
Your
to heart
grandmother's
last
birthday,
week. Well, she's dead, but
Still has a birthday.
both of them. But yeah, no, I think I'm.
You're good.
Wait, we didn't get any impersonations either. Cut it quick.
No,
cut
I
it
went
off.
Baldy.
He
I
did. He
Baldy
did
early.
one. Yeah, he did one.
Come on, Max.
Max.
You think
You're-
I did? I think I did Seinfeld. earlier?
Max, you're immune to it now. You don't even know when he does it.
It's just that they're so
No,
good.
the bad ones stand out.
They're so
man.
good,
The-
yeah, like-
the bad ones are really bad.
The good ones just you don't even notice them because they're
He
just
floated one out last week with Jono that was
Collinsworth.
reprehensible.
Collinsworth.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
We can do without
Yeah,
Andy
it wasn't
Collinsworth,
good.
really.
Yeah, nah, we don't need that.
Anyway, so if you're still listening to us, thank you for listening to another and watching another episode of the 28 to 3 podcast. We'll see you next week with actually later this week.
By the way, the Falcons just scored and they're going to win the game. They won. So they are 1-1.
God.
Would you like to retract?
Live
No,
on the
wouldn't.
air.
I wouldn't. I think the Bucks are a bigger threat. Anyway,
In case you
with
were
that,
wondering.
we're going to go ahead and
Yeah.
wrap up this episode. Next episode will be our Eagles predictions.
Predictions. Yep. Quick
So-
hitter.
Yep,
New
quick
format.
hitter. So be
Yep.
ready for that one. We'll see it on, Thursday?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably Thursday, depending on Corey's schedule.
I'll get it done.
You did hit record on the
You're not the
video, right?
producer on this thing?
No. Don't make us call
Yeah.
Clint in for this.
We're recording.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Who dat?
Who dat?
What a comeback!